his name. That's right. Burn, 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 burn. He's back again. Burn, 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 burn. He's back again. He's back again. He's back again. What? You ever doing that quick? The 14 comes.
Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful night tonight. I am joined by the one and only Ben Stoeger tonight. How's your night going so far, sir?
Dude, I'm living my best life. We just fired up Fast and the Furious downstairs, the original.
There you go.
Yeah. You remember when they were humble, just stealing DVD players in Honda Civics before they're stealing nuclear submarines?
Exactly. They were car movies, and now they are superhero movies that happen to feature cars.
Yeah, and then you're like, family. Like, it made more sense back then, a little bit more.
Yeah. No, the first movie was actually like a decent movie, and then after that, it went a little bit off the rails.
Let me tell you something. Tokyo Drift is the one.
I don't like the main character in that film, though.
No, but you have Han. Han makes the movie.
Yeah. It's just such an interesting shift from the second one, which went completely off the rails. And then you have the third one, which is like kind of grounded in Tokyo with like this guy with a southern accent, which I guess is interesting if you want to juxtapose like Japanese culture with this like southern retard.
Yes.
All right. Well, so let's go ahead, and since you're here, I did ask my Discord for some questions for you. So we're going to kind of do a speed round to get things going. Now, for those of you who don't know, Ben, let me see if I'm getting this right. You were the USPSA production champion back to back to back to back to back, and then there was a little gap, and then you were back to back to back again from 2011 to 2019.
Yeah.
So 8 out of 9 years champion in the.
There was there was some officiating issues in that one year. It's like one of the things I hate about USPSA.
Okay, because I do have a USPSA section because that was another like big question stuff. But so for anyone who doesn't know, Ben is like actually like not only a top tier shooter, but he's a top tier of the top tier shooters, one of the best in the world. So for anyone wondering. All right, so the first question, very serious. Would you rather your pistol cry when you shoot it or moan when you reload it?
Moan, for sure. Yeah, 1,000,000%. I don't like making anything cry. I'm a lover, man. I'm not a hater. I want to make it moan all the time.
So you're both having a good time, right? Yeah, that makes more sense. Crying is weird. Shooting it.
If I'm doing a thing and maybe I'm weak or something, but if I do a thing and it makes something cry, like I don't want to do that thing anymore. And it almost doesn't matter what the thing is. Like I wouldn't want to do it.
I think it's fairly normal for most people. I mean, it's just crazy. All right. Current EDC pistol.
Glock 17, baby.
You carry a 17.
17, not even an optic.
Just bare stock
fucking
Gen 3?
Send it. I don't give a fuck. It's a Gen 5.
Okay, it is a Gen 5. So it is at least the newest version of it. Interesting. Yeah. Are you tall?
I'm 6 foot more, maybe 6'1".
Okay. All right. Because it's a big gun to conceal. It's actually one of the first guns I got was a.
Oh, it's constitutional carry in Arizona, dude. Who cares?
Well, I'm just saying it's big to conceal, right? It's not particularly comfortable. I used to carry a 17 as well, but that's just funny. All right. Favorite competition handgun?
Oh, that's really hard. Oh, there's so many. Let's say, my favorite, let's say the SIG 320.
Really? Like the X5 Legion or just?
Well, any of them. That's just, it's not the best, but it'll be my favorite. Because it's the most interesting. You don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah, there was another question that I got about that was, when shooting that and the testing and all the memes for that, were you ever actually worried that you were about to experience the Stoeger effect?
Not super worried. I'm not very concerned about my own personal safety, but it's like, I think I've said this before. I've been hit in the face with exploding SIG on more than one occasion.
Really?
More than one. Yes.
Just like
it's
the back
just like
off and
the side.
Okay.
Yeah, the right side of the frame blows out. That's what happens. I personally witnessed that. I think maybe 5 times. maybe
All on
more.
320s?
Yes. Never a
Jeez.
365, but not many people in competition classes shoot 365s.
Well, yeah, I don't know why you would, but it makes a good carry gun though, for sure. Do you still have your rainbow PVD one,
Yeah,
365?
of course. I'll never get rid of that.
All right. Least favorite competition handgun?
Ugh. Any revolver.
Really?
Revolver's dumb.
Did you ever do like competitions and stuff with those?
I think I classified an IDPA with a revolver, but I never really shot it seriously. Revolvers are just dumb. Like I mean, because it's like not fun for like an action sport. They're just
Mhm.
not, it's not fun. I don't know.
Doing the moon clips every 6 to 8 rounds, that sort
Yeah,
of stuff.
it's,
Yeah.
oh, that was back when I think there was, at that time, there was two divisions for revolver and IDP. One was moon clip and one was speed loader. And I
Mm.
like, this is where you're like gaming the speed loaders to make it like, I think the comp 3 is what they're called, the fast ones. Like, this is not relevant information for anybody. Revolvers are
Right.
terrible.
It's specifically just for that one division of
It's
IDPA.
so stupid.
Yeah. I feel like that's something that you train because it's like your one thing that you really enjoy, and then everything else is secondary to that.
But if that's the thing you enjoy, it's like we just don't see the world the same way, you know?
Yeah, I mean it is a more painful experience for sure.
It is.
All right. Craziest training experience, because over the last 5 years or so you've been doing a lot more focused on training than shooting, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, that's the word. I mean, the fact is I've been training professionally for like 15 years. It's been my sole occupation for I think 13 years. I've had more crazy experiences than I can imagine or talk about. Like I had like a couple weeks ago, I went to Iraq for training and training with a high up guy in government. Let's put it that way. It's like, hey, you want to shoot an RPG? I'm like, yeah, I want to blow up a car. And he sends a text message like, yep, organized it. Cool. We blow it up at 15:30 tomorrow. I'm like, awesome. Go and blow up a car. Like I put the video on Instagram, but it's like, yeah, that was like a fun training experience.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the hardest part was doing it with a raging erection.
Right. The
Yeah.
too much fun you're having, right? If it
Yeah, I
doesn't
mean,
go down.
that was awesome. I've been very fortunate that I've been to more than 50 countries doing training or doing shooting. So I mean, I've traveled a lot and been to a lot of cool places. I've met more people than I can count. Um, but you know, I have experiences like that occasionally. I mean, one of my best experiences. I was working in Russia for a while for an oligarch who was into shooting, and that was
Uh,
amazing. That was amazing because it's like I mean, I would shoot 30 stages in 2 hours with him. And there's like the people to support that. It was like 30 or 40 people supporting us doing that, like building stages as we went along.
that's awesome.
It
Was
was
he good?
insane. I mean, again, like very fortunate to have that experience.
Was he actually a good shooter though, or was it more
Yeah,
of
he
like a
was national champion in Russia at one point.
Okay, gotcha. Very
Yeah,
cool.
that guy could shoot.
No, those guys have a thing for like best of the best people. Like you'll see boxers and MMA fighters, and they will actually go out and to hang out with these people as well. There's something about the prestige of being around like the best of the best is really important for those guys. All right, last one in the speed round. What is the single most important drill to train?
Ooh. I mean, I think doubles drill would probably be what I pick, but it doesn't sound that sexy.
No, it
But
doesn't have.
probably that's the best.
So just a single like draw to target 2 shots.
No, it's like draw, like connect to the pistol, or you could mount with a rifle. That's the same. And then just fire aggressive pairs. I like to do 4 pairs with a
Mhm.
handgun because you get 2 reps per magazine with most platforms. And you just like keep a consistent grip and connection, look right where you want the bullets to go. And as you're shooting the gun aggressively, you can really figure out what you're doing. Like, is your support hand staying connected? Are you driving the gun down with your firing hand? Are you staying focused on the target? Or you start tracking the sight as it goes up and down? That kind
Mhm.
of thing. I mean, that is like 90% of shooting right there in that drill.
Right. For like competition style shooting. Because double
I,
pairs don't matter as much for like a defensive situation. You're going to put 6 rounds or something.
it's not so much that it's like a double pair. Like you could make it triples or whatever. It's like you're just assessing what you're doing, like with the gun, and then you can apply that to any style of shooting. Like you
Okay.
could do draw and shoot 6 rounds if you want and be like more like defensive or whatever. But for assessment and just for understanding what you're doing, when you're firing like those pairs, you have a break between each pair, and then you kind of use that to say, like, okay, what am I doing? I'm like driving the gun down, like what's happening, and you kind of get it's easier to get information from that than it is when you draw and shoot like 6, 8 rounds, something like that.
Yeah. Interesting, because that's something I probably need to be doing a lot more in my own training.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
would not couch it as a competition specific thing. Like for like military or law enforcement training, we're doing the same thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, yeah, because it really is to assess and see what the gun is doing in your hands and what you need to work on, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not an engagement sequence.
Mhm.
Like it's specifically not an engagement sequence. Like I would advocate people shoot the gun far more aggressively than they can reliably get hits. And that's like something that in like the law enforcement world, especially, that's something that I would say it's a lot less controversial now. But when I started pushing that kind of stuff years ago, it was like, oh, like every bullet has a lawyer attached to it and all this and this. And it's just like, no, this isn't an engagement sequence. I'm not telling you to engage a target this way or to shoot this way for real. This is a training strategy.
Right. So to
Yeah.
train to a much higher level than what you hopefully ever encounter, right?
Right. Or just the concept of I'm intentionally going to create errors when I'm shooting. Like that is counter to a lot of people's thinking.
Well, yeah, it's I suppose like working out in a way. You need to figure out where your limits are at and what you need to work on, right?
Exactly. And I think you get the answer way faster than most people they start with like, hey, step by step by step by step. I want to do it like that and slowly build up. Whereas I'd say, hey, shoot the speed you want to shoot, and then we'll figure it out.
Right. You can check your hits on paper or off paper and see what you need to do.
Yes.
All right. We kind of mentioned it earlier, but this is the most requested section, and this is the history of the USPSA banning and recently getting unbanned. Because if I'm not mistaken, you had a lifetime ban, which was issued a couple years ago. So could you kind of run through some of the backstory and then bring us up to speed on that?
Sure, I'd be very happy to. Like many people in USPSA is full of opinionated nerds. I am one of them. We have different opinions how things should be done and things should be run. And I've been one of the vocal critics, vocal nerds for a long time. Like I've podcasted for a long time, talked about it on the internet for a long time, argued with people on it's been, I mean, if you're in USPSA, it's like people get really passionate, like, oh, the rules should be this, or the division should be that, or oh, this officiating over here is bullshit, whatever. People get very opinionated. And I just being real, I've always been one of those people. However, in like 2021, I took a look at the organization and the track it was on. And for me, USPSA has been great. Like I have a really good life now. Like I've got a lot of opportunities and I understand all of that stuff has come to me on some level through USPSA. And again, USPSA has been good for me, but I see that it's diminished a lot. Like it's a lot more shit than when I started doing it, which was a long time ago. And I was like, I really want to change the organization. Like I want to like politically alter the track of this thing. And I got together with some friends, and in 2021, we went full force on it. Where it's like we're running candidates, we're going to talk mad shit online, we're going to talk about I'm actually going to try to change things. That came to a head, I'd say about 2022, when we were doing a lot of damage politically to the leadership of the organization, and they'd had enough. And they made it clear, like, hey, we're going to kick you out if you keep going. And other people got involved in this as well. But they made it pretty clear, like there was going to be consequences if we kept going. And I looked at it and was like, okay, that would actually serve me if they do these things, right? Because I just want to spread the message and change the organization. Like, not trying to be an asshole, but there's not a lot USPSA can do for me at this point, aside from be fun and or whatever. It's like I don't like it's whatever. If they kick me out, it's not going to affect me. So, like again, choices were made, and in 2022, the ban came down, and this was like very aggressive, like tactics I was using online. I pulled no punches, and in 2022, the leadership kicked me out. In addition to changing election rules and changing the bylaws of the organization in order to try to stop politically the stuff that we were doing.
Gotcha.
Right. So there's, it takes years. There's an election cycle to all these things. There's an 8-member board. There's, 2 board member seats come up every year. Right. And it's regional. And, kind of like a mini Congress type of a thing.
Interesting.
As time went on and I kept pushing, like advocating online and posting memes and doing the whole thing, over time, all of the board seats flipped. And now the old board that I hated and I promised, like, you will all go. I'm going to get rid of all of you. They're now done. There's game over for them. We have a new board, and the new board came in and is now trying to reform things. And then putting me back in was one of the things that they did.
Awesome. And so you were really gone from the sport for 2 years officially, right? And then you got the 2025 season coming up.
Well, sure. Now,
if you're engaging with it, right?
I am, but it's like the problem for me is like, wait, with USPSA out of my life, like in 22, it's like, okay, you're not doing USPSA for a while. Was my thinking like 2.5 years ago or 2 years ago. So I just went full force into training and business and doing all that thing. And now my business is so busy. Like I've like my schedule is crazy. So I got the word that I'd be getting put back in a few weeks before it happened. So I closed off my 2025 calendar. Like, I'm not taking any more gigs, man. I'm not doing it. So we'll see as time allows. And I've ordered some guns. I'm planning on doing some USPSA. It's going to take some time to like get things back that direction. But that's what I'm looking to do. I'd like to do USPSA more on a for fun basis.
Right.
Organizing my life around it at this point is insane. Like, this doesn't make sense. I hate saying no, and I have to say no to so many clients and so many fun opportunities. Like, I want to do all the things, and there's just not enough time for me. That's the problem. But
and
yes,
I mean, you're already an 8-time USPSA champion. So it's like, do you need?
Oh, like as far as for me personally, like I don't care about like going and winning a nationals. Like I personally don't give a shit. But I mean, it would be fun to like just do USPSA, like go do competitive shooting, try different divisions, try different things, maybe go to some big matches, like just take it as it comes. And I'm excited about that.
Now, when you talk about the decline of USPSA, could you be a little more specific? Was it just the ruling, the officiating, stuff like that was getting a little haywire?
Sure. Like when I started, the sport was, I would say, more diverse in terms of its challenges and like more physical. So we're talking like uncomfortable shooting positions. Like the first state match that I did had this thing called a Rhodesian wall, where you're like holding a rope and hanging off a wall in order to force you to shoot one-handed. Which is like, not that every match should have that, but I would say it was more interesting in that way. The officiating was more straight. I would say it was better. Back in those days, there was like less bullshit as far as like just making, I mean, the decision making now is, I would say, arbitrary in a lot of senses. Like the head of the rules, this guy, the DNROI, it's called, like that guy is, I would say, not someone you can reason with. Like he's going to do whatever he wants to do, which does not have to involve following the rules, like that kind of stuff. Like that sort of stuff took over. And a lot of this is generational. Like, okay, here's a good example. Like right now, a fight that is happening on the board is allowing review of competitor footage. So you video a guy with your phone while he's shooting, and it's to allow match officials to review that in order to make calls. Like there's been incidents where guys get a disqualification for some kind of safety infraction, and you look at footage of it and you're like, yeah, he didn't do that. That's the bad call. And like the disqualification is, that's serious. Like you're done. You're out of the match. And it's like, this is actually a big fight in order to get the range officers to look at footage that competitors take that show that, no, the guy did not do that unsafe thing. He should not be kicked out of the match. That's a big fight.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of, in, more bigger sports, right? They've had that review added in, right? Because that is a serious consequence if something gets done wrong. Now, from the RSO's perspective or whatnot, they have to give up some power, right? Because then they're just law, right?
You understand completely what it is. It's not about getting it right. It's like these guys are going to lose power. And like the competitors, like your like footage that you have of like, no, the guy didn't do that. That didn't happen. Nothing unsafe happened. That should have more power, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, it protects the competitor, right?
Yes.
And it's honest too.
Yes.
Because it's not somebody's decision. It's like, no, I have video. Everybody else has video of what this guy does. Okay. Interesting.
There was a high profile incident a couple months ago with a guy named Brantley Merriam, like Lucas's guy, like very, very good shooter. And you watch his footage and it's at the point where like, this is ridiculous that this guy got punted from this match. But it's like, it shows you these like kind of clashing mentalities where it's like to me, I would say this makes us look stupid as an organization that this guy's getting a DQ when this footage exists and it's on Instagram. Like we look so fucking stupid. We cannot do this.
Yeah. I mean, especially with a situation like that, where it is just like, you can watch it and he's fine. And then, but the result is he's actually gone from that match. And he's, Brantley's a fantastic shooter. So,
yes. And as a competitor, from a competitor perspective, imagine like you train, like no one gives a fuck about you. You're going to go train every day. You're working at like, if you're going to be competing at a high level in USPSA, you're going to center your life around that. Like you're going to center it around that. Like, for example, like when I was actively competing at USPSA Nationals, I can't schedule shit until I know when Nationals is. Right. Just like the damage, like I wouldn't say damage, but at this point, like with that, those sort of considerations removed from my life where I can just schedule engagements as and when I feel. It's like, yep, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. And I just don't have to give a fuck about what USPSA is doing. My income doubled.
Right.
Like, yeah, that's the kind of like the opportunity cost for the people, like the type of people they want shooting their matches, they make it so difficult to do it. And they think that they're like the big swinging dick as an organization. And it's just like, you guys are not understanding how stuff has shifted. They don't understand.
Am I understanding that they don't tell you when Nationals is like a year in advance?
Not always. There's been times where in October they'll announce, hey, we're doing Nationals for your division. They'll be in April. Fuck you.
Right.
Yeah, basically.
Taking a bit. All right, I'm going to change my plans around.
Yeah.
That sounds well, kind of moving on from that. So since for the last few years, you have not been doing USPSA, do you feel that your personal training sort of stagnated or changed since you've been doing more like training other people rather than like just this is what my life is for this year?
No, my training has gotten way more interesting. So USPSA, again, like if you want to be at a high level.
Uh-oh.
Fuck. Sorry, can you still hear me?
Nope, you're good. You came back. You cut out for a second, but you're good now. Was it like a phone call?
You got me now?
Yeah, you're good.
I can't hear you though. This is bad. This was my fault. My alarm went off on my phone.
Oh no, you're good, man.
Uh-oh.
Okay, let me remove him. Oh shoot. All right. Ben will be back in just a moment. He had an alarm go off. But yeah, we're going to talk about training in USPSA. Also, if you want any questions answered by Ben, I think we're going to try and do about 90 minutes. So we'll try and get those towards the last 30 minutes or so. Right. So thank you all for being here. 650 people here to watch one of the best shooters of all time give his thoughts and opinions on this show. Greatly appreciated. Are you back, sir?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me.
Right. So. I got that. Let me just get my audio back.
All right, perfect. So yeah, we were talking about your personal training when not doing USPSA.
So the USPSA, I mean, this is not the opinion that most people would have, but I mean, for me, I'm very dedicated to like the gun I'm shooting, the division I'm shooting, all that. So it's like I shot a Beretta for 7 years. I really didn't touch many other guns. Like I just shot that gun. I trained that gun. I trained for that division. I trained for that thing. I'm very, very dedicated. You're like a specialist on that thing. I shot a Tanfolio for like 8 years, and you're very dedicated to that. Without needing to be competitive at a national level with one gun, that frees me up to do whatever the fuck I want. So it's like one initiative that I started in 2019 was started rifle training, but like the military shoots some parts of the military, I'll say, shoots a style of rifle that there's not really a game built around it. But I got pushed like, hey, you should do this because this would maybe help some of the guys. Yeah, you should do this. So I spend a lot of my time on that. Maybe the people that follow me on YouTube, they saw this year I'm shooting all these different pistols. And I like don't really like I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I'll like shoot this, shoot that, shoot this, shoot that, talk about my experiences. Like that would not be possible or not yeah, not really possible the
Not
same
easy.
way if I'm like focused on USPSA. Like I can't do that. So in a sense, I've grown a lot as a shooter, not being focused on one thing.
Interesting. Yeah.
I'm,
All right. So talking about probably my favorite arc of your channel so far was the 320 arc, and obviously the title of the thumbnail of this stream, the 320, making people mad online. So at this point in time, they kind of have a habit of going off. I know that you just posted today another one that got blown up. Like on my way home, I see that you posted this on Instagram. Oh, perfect, excellent timing. And then like just the other day, there was a Sig lost, an 11 million lawsuit for somebody else's 320. So what did that start for you that you were gonna like, hey, I'm gonna start shooting 320s on the channel and talking bad about them?
I didn't make a plan to shoot bad. Like for me, it's like, I mean, it was the same thing. Like I want to shoot like the staccato arc before that was another fun one. It's like I will shoot a gun that is interesting and that people want to talk about. And then I will just report my experiences and read my feelings and my thoughts and whatever. And it just is what it is. And I think that would be fun. So it's like when people like pick a gun to shoot, it's like, well, I mean, I'll just pick a 320 because that's interesting for people and then talk about it. And I enjoyed shooting the gun and then, doing a review of it. I think the title of the review, a sketchy gun from a shady company. And,
Yeah, exactly.
but it wasn't all, it's not like I just I'm out to shit on the gun. Like I will talk about whatever happens. I mean, but my attitude is kind of like, I don't really care that much. It's like, if I shoot around and the optic flies off and hits me in the face, that's fine. If I shoot it and it runs 10,000 rounds, no malfunction, no issues, and I absolutely love it, I am fine with that too. And I'm fine with anything in between. I'm not wed to any of it. So it's like, to me, it's just interesting to talk about. And it's mostly like for me, like this year is a heavy round count year for me because of a bunch of government stuff I've done that like where I'm shooting a lot and I have access to it's a ridiculous amount of ammo that I have access to sometimes. I mean, I'm gonna shoot like this will probably be the highest round count year of my life. But I thought it'd be more
just out of curiosity.
What's that?
What
I'm
are we
over
looking
I'm over 150 now
Wow.
for the year.
That's-
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a ton. It's crazy. But like it makes it more interesting where it's like, well, I knew I'm going to be shooting a lot. I have these different engagements like at interesting places, things I want to do, and I'll have access to tons of ammo. It's like, well, I should just shoot different guns and just like whatever. Like who cares? Like what difference does it make to me? There's some units I train with use 320s. Like a lot of police use staccatos. I need to shoot Glocks because a bunch of people use those. There's open enrollment competition classes. I can shoot whatever I want. It's like I have the ability to do this, so I should definitely do it.
Do you ever, with the SIG specifically though, when you were talking about like some of the explosions and whatnot, and then like reading some of the comments that people would leave you about those, do you like feeding into that almost like a bit of a troll in that way? Like when because people are brand loyalists, right? They're fanboys of a specific gun, and if you talk bad about it, even if you're completely honest and you show them what was wrong with it, they're still going to be like, "How dare you go after my favorite gun?"
No, I like engaging with comments a lot where it's like, I mean, some guys are crazy, like they're crazy, and I don't really want to talk to them. But like guys leaving a comment where they're like, "No, this is my experience," or "Hey, what about this?" Like I think it's interesting to read through the comments. Like I like having that kind of demeanor where it's like I'll just read the comment and like react to it, and it is what it is. I'm not really trolling reading the comments. It's just like I will read your comment, take it at face value, and just you can have my real reaction to it. And I think people like find that interesting. I know that's the type of content that I like engaging with on YouTube. That's what I watch on YouTube. Like if you know what I mean? Like that's what I like, where guys are just talking about whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Topical of whatever it is. And you know, we're gun guys, you're a gun nerd, I'm a gun guy. So that sort of stuff is fun. And that's what I enjoy watching on your channel as well. Because I'm not going to get like a generic boring review on your channel. I'm going to get you responding to someone or talking about something. Now when you have Joel on your channel, he's like, is he the super technical guy that you have around just to like do all that sort of stuff for you?
Yeah, I would say Joel's like my hand. Like he does like all the logistics, well, not all he does a lot of logistics for me as far as classes or gun setup. I mean, to me, I am very okay being me, which is like I'm not super detail oriented or type A or any of that stuff. So and it's like I don't really care. If I want to know something, I'll just call the guy I know that knows the thing and I'll ask him like, "Hey, how the fuck do I set this gun up? Just tell me what to do." Or
Right.
better yet, just do it. Like, just do it for me. That would be even better. That would be lovely because that could happen. So, like,
Well,
yeah, Joel is one of those guys for me.
yeah, so it's more like you're the professional driver and you don't want to be the pit crew as well, right? You just
No,
want the thing you want it
yes,
to do.
I'm Cole Trickle. I don't know shit about cars.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very like, and it's kind of funny because people have like a weird view of this, and it's like here's a fun fact. Like, I've probably fired 700,000 rounds through Glocks in my life. Like up until this year, I had never done more than field strip one ever.
Really?
And then you think you hear that and you're like, well, how could that be? Blah, blah, blah. How do you not know? Like this and that. Like, no, no. Think about it this way. Like, I didn't need to know how to do that. If I need to do the thing, I'll do the thing. But I didn't need to know that because it didn't need to happen because I never had to do it.
That's interesting.
Right?
Yeah,
Think about it that way.
It is a wild round count because guys like me, and because I'm, I tinker, I try out all these different things. For me, not messing with something is way harder than just leaving it the way it is, right?
Right.
So it's just
I never picked up Glocks to tinker with. It's like you're training this military unit. You're gonna like they have Glocks, like just have a Glock that's plainer than their Glock, and like that's what I need for work. Like I don't give a fuck about
Right.
having the most trick gun. That's actually that's counterproductive in a lot of ways.
Mhm. Well, that's like the total opposite spectrum, right? It's being like results and performance oriented versus like this is a toy that I'm going to play around with when something has like an actual application, and that's all that it needs to do, right? All right, so let's talk about training, dry fire stuff. So for a very good shooter like yourself, top tier shooter, what sort of is the breakdown between dry fire and live fire? Now, maybe this year is a bit of an outlier because you have access to so much ammo, but is it like a 50-50 split, or is it more live fire?
My thinking has changed. It changed some. Like I don't have like a split. Like in my head, when I'm training is training. If it's dry fire, it's if my like I want to train pretty much every day. If if I have access to dry fire for training, that's what I'm going to do. If I can do live fire that day, that's what I'm going to do. And if I do live fire, it'll be a combo live and dry session. There'll be a lot of dry reps along with the live ammo.
Like interesting. So you'll be out on the range and you'll be dry firing while you're out on the range. Do you do it like in between to warm up, or how do you use that in your training?
Typically, it'll be in between. So it'll be like shoot live ammo, do some reps on the thing, and then it's like, when you're at the range shooting, there's going to be guns going off. That can be distracting. A lot of times that's your gun. So if I do dry reps, like I can kind of get a better sense of what I'm actually doing because I'm not distracted by the ammunition, and then I can do reps faster because I'm not stuffing mags and I'm not repairing targets. Right. So it'll be like, hey, do the thing I'm going to do, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Then it's like, okay, I want to change this or that thing. So I can do dry reps, rep on the thing I'm trying to change. And then I can start shooting live ammo again to, see what's going on. So to me, that's the most efficient type of training is combo live dry.
Interesting. That's good to know. So do you use the dry fire to kind of figure out how you want to do something, and then the live fire is almost like the check, right?
Yeah, the live fire is the check. Like it's like to most people, like conventionally, you can't live fire every day, and live fire is expensive, right? So it's like your training is dry fire. That's your training. When you go shoot live, you're just kind of observing, and that's like a test or a check. Like, is my dry fire effective? What do I want to change about my dry fire to get a better outcome here? So for most people, that's the paradigm. That's the way it works.
Interesting. Yeah, that's something I definitely need to try out more. This is great to know for me personally because I want to be a better shooter, and I kind of just have been doing the same thing for like the last like 5 or 6 years. So, when let's say you're just at home when you're dry firing, do you always practice from the holster? Do you practice transitions? Do you just set a target up on the wall, kind of like you got behind you there, and just go for it? Or what is like your normal routine for that sort of thing?
So I have a dedicated dry fire area, and
Mhm.
it depends on what I'm doing, but I'm going to like my dry fire is effectively not going to look different than my live fire. It's like, so whatever it is, I will do, it'll be the same thing. It's like, I want to practice. I mean, it's like, I want to practice like shooting on the move. Then it's like, it will look the same live and dry.
Okay.
Like if you watch me, like it doesn't look different. It's like, it'll
Mhm.
be like the dry fire is just like a scaled kind of replica, you know, like, but I'm going to do the same things.
Okay, interesting. Now, when you're actually out on the range, do you usually set up like semi stages, or is it more focused on like I'm going to be running X and Y drills today, and that's what it's going to be?
So it's a mix. I would say it's about a half mix of like mini stages and then specific drills or exercises. Um, my each training session kind of feeds into like some larger objectives. So there'll be like a training cycle for me when I get to do one. It'd be like a weeks long plan where it's like, hey, you're going to do this. Like this is what we're trying to achieve. You're work like some end state that I want, and it's like, all right, so you're going to work on these slices of skills these days, and it's pretty coordinated to be a cohesive plan. So I spend hundreds of rounds working on very simple drills, very simple, very specific things, and then also spend plenty of ammo shooting on like scenario based stuff to like get comfortable with like any type of thing that might be thrown at me.
Gotcha. So it is almost exactly like a training plan you would get from like a personal trainer, other than in this case, it's you who are designing it for yourself most of the time. Do you ever try and follow like, or listen to other trainers and try and like hybridize what you do, take advice from other people, stuff like that?
Constantly. So that's another good thing is that's where guys like Joel come in handy. Whereas like he keeps an ear to the ground and he watches everyone's shit. And if anything's remotely interesting, like I will take it. Like I will take it and work with it. I like to take classes, like shooting classes with other people. I got a Kyle DeFore class coming up this year. I'm kind of excited about that. I did classes with Mason Lane last year, as well as others. So I like taking classes. And then I will, if anything's interesting, like I will try it. I mean, and I really don't care too much who it's from.
Mhm. Cool. So now you train a lot of people.
Mhm.
In your opinion, do people like actually dry fire, and can you tell the people that do and don't before you get into a class?
Yeah, so the people that show up to train with me, pretty much they almost always dry fire. So
Mm.
I mean that's like I don't have a lot of people that you'd say are casual or like unserious showing up to courses with me. Like right now I'm in Texas doing open enrollment competition courses. Like in the course I did today, it's like there was maybe one guy that doesn't regularly dry fire. Like, and that is
Gotcha.
obvious watching. There's one guy. There, everyone
And is
else practices and competes already.
and is it just the movements, the coordination, that sort of stuff?
Oh, dude, you can totally tell.
That's funny. So let's talk about like recommendations for the average guy. Do you have like a amount of time you recommend doing like per week of dry fire and stuff like that? Because that's the thing we can all do, right? We can all sit
Yeah,
there, watch a show, and dry fire. It's super easy to do. It's very low investment. If you already have the gear, it's incredibly easy to do.
right. Especially for the daily carriers, like a professional, like a cop or like a guy who's concealed carrying every day, that kind of thing. Like you're going to have the gear on you anyway. What I push people to do, like if you don't dry fires, like do it 5 minutes, but do it every day or like
Mhm.
5 days a week. If you can get people to do that, it is a massive difference in their shooting. If you can just do 5 minutes a day for real.
Yeah, sweet. Do you practice? This is just a personal question. Do you practice your EDC mostly, or do you practice your competition setup mostly?
I mean, I'm not wed to a setup right now. I don't give a fuck. So it's like I'm comfortable shooting anything. which is like that's a skill that I've cultivated a lot. I mean, that didn't come easy, but it's like for example, in September I traveled with a box that had 8 guns in it, and I was out for 3 weeks on a trip doing classes. Like I taught a class with every one of those guns.
There you go. That's awesome.
And I could shoot each one of them at least a what I would consider a proficient level, and a couple of the platforms like an exceptional level. Like I could shoot Glocks really well. I'm getting
Mhm.
pretty good with 2011s. Like the 226 like was my shakiest gun, but I'm still pretty good with that. Like, I've shot a
And
226 a lot.
the shaky for you is probably,
It's pretty. It's
exquisite,
not.
exquisite
You
for the
wouldn't.
most part, right?
You wouldn't be complaining.
No, no, not at all. Yeah, if I could have your shaky day, I'd be very happy. So let's talk about rifles, because this is also something you don't post a lot of rifle content, but it is
Mm.
cool to see somebody who has like such a refined, excellent skill set in one area also be like very good. Guns are similar in a lot of ways, of course, you get it, but it's a very different format than what we're used to seeing you in. So, are you going to be running 2-gun competitions and stuff like that this year?
Well, I don't know a timeline, but it's a yes, 2 gun. I'm very interested in. Now, one thing that's happened um, up north, like I'm a snowbird, as you may or may not know, and so the regionally there's differences, but up north, like USPSA got crushed. So like, a lot of those clubs just like don't do USPSA anymore. A lot of the drama that I helped kick up is the reason for that, and
No.
they've switched more towards PCSL, 2 gun competition, maybe just rifle competition, but it's more like practical type rifle, like closer range, faster. So like I'm very interested in getting involved in that. So
Do
it's
you find
like, yep.
as kind of like a fun break from the, because you've been doing USPSA for the last 20 years or so, that style of shooting, do you find that like is a fun mix up from what you're used to?
Yeah, I mean, I like Pranka's the one who pushed me to do this. Like, dude, you need to shoot a rifle. You need to do that. And I went and trained, and he just showed me like, do this and this. This is what the guys want it to look like, whatever. And it was like, yeah, that's like super fun. I mean, because again, it's like, yeah, it's the same sort of thing. It's just different. Same, but different. And
Right,
that,
exactly.
and to me, that's fun. I've been getting a lot out of it. I took a precision rifle course as well this year. Like that's like the super nerd shit, like
Mhm.
shooting 223 at 1,000 yards
Yep.
type of a thing. Like that's like not something I really give a fuck about. But going to do the course, just try it out. Like that stuff was like it was fun. So I'm kind of maybe I'm doing things kind of backwards because I was like so serious about just one thing for so
Mhm.
long. And now it's like, well, I have this skill set, and like people give me guns and stuff. And like I have a lot of ammo now. And it's like,
Right.
well, I should just have fun. Like, fuck it, you know? So that's what I'm doing. It's great.
No, the PRS stuff, that is something that is like a completely different world from handgun shooting. And
Completely different.
I love
Yeah.
that stuff.
It's
But
complete.
have you ever
And in
tried
Arizona, they have gas gun matches, which that would
Mhm.
be more interesting to me. Like
Yeah, gas
that
games, and
format's more interesting.
they also do DMR matches, which is a mix of long range and handgun stuff, which I watch X Ring. X Ring does a lot of that sort of stuff. And I think obviously you would excel at the handgun stuff, but if you can get rifle up to speed, especially gas gun where it's like, max of maybe 1,000 yards max, I think that would be pretty cool to see. Now,
Yeah.
what's your current rifle setup?
I have like 20 of them. I don't know. I mean,
What's
I
your
just
main skill right now?
I mean, I shoot a rifle with a red dot on it. Typically
Mhm.
a 3 prong, like the muzzle device I have is a 3 prong because I want a lot of recoil because that's better for me for training because guys are like for work, guys are not going to have guns that are super convenient or easy to shoot, right? So it's like again, like I'm going to have like a duty style rifle. So like typically I have a 3 prong, like it's a good
Mhm.
suppressor adapter, that kind of thing. Just a red dot magnifier, um, and that's pretty much it. I just run that. Like I don't need to worry about any night vision type of stuff because I don't give a
Mhm.
shit about that. That's not what I'm doing.
Right, because
Um,
you're just teaching like it's basically for work for you, right? If I'm not mistaken.
yeah, it's like yeah, that's it. It's just
Yeah.
for
So
work.
just
It's
a
like
generic rifle that does the thing it needs to do. It doesn't need to be, like a race gun, basically.
no,
So,
it's counterproductive. It's counterproductive for a race gun. Like I cannot show up with a comped out JP rifle to teach a SWAT class. Like that would not be cool.
Right. You need to essentially emulate what they're using, which is probably a very generic setup of some sort.
Yeah, of course.
Perfect. Do you find that the training is quite a bit different for a rifle versus pistol, or do you kind of just same basic fundamentals apply? Just obviously you're using a rifle versus a pistol.
I apply the same principles. Like the rifle's way, way, way more complicated in terms of what can be done with it, right?
Really?
Because like, well, yeah, I mean, if you're shooting a handgun out to 50 yards, like I don't give a shit about ballistics. I don't
Okay.
give a shit about wind. There's not hold offs. There's none of this. None of this is a consideration. There's not even there's not even like braced positions, like nothing. For a rifle, there's way more stuff that can be done. Now, in practical terms, like for like a SWAT guy, it's like his engagements are going to probably be inside of 50 yards. So none of that other shit like really applies anyway. But
Mhm.
I mean, like in theory, there's way more that can be done with it. So it's super complicated. Like to me, I'm a little simple-minded though as well. But
Well,
it's simple.
that's interesting because most people like the handgun is the difficult part. Like, so for me personally, shooting a handgun is because I have to, not because I ever want to. Like, if I could shoot a rifle, I would only ever shoot a rifle. It's so much simpler, at least for me, because I don't like the recoil is nothing basically compared to a handgun,
Yes.
right? And so my trigger press matters much less on a rifle. You know, my sight alignment, I'm using some sort of magnified optic. All of that sort of stuff is really easy for me, but obviously for somebody like you who pistols are your life and you're like top tier at it, a rifle, that's funny that you think that
Well,
a
no,
rifle
the
is more
pistol's way harder to learn, but it's not
complicated.
more complicated. Like it's a simple gun. It's just harder. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah, I guess it would be a little different because yeah, it's everything getting set up perfectly on a handgun and then doing that repeatedly is much more difficult than it is with a rifle. But yeah, I guess uh, I don't know. I don't know if there's a better way to explain it, but a rifle is capable of more things, so there's more things to consider, I guess.
Yes, you could like. I mean, in theory, it's like if you have a duty style, like a red dot duty style rifle, it's like yeah, probably you just use that inside of 50, maybe 100 yards. The red dot's all you need. Zero that bitch at 100 yards. Maybe you have have a mechanical offset at close range, like mount, connect to it, hold it the same way. It's going to be very similar to a handgun. Sure. But then it's like, well, but what if like like what if we're shooting at 200 yards? Like, okay, well, there's a magnifier, and that's another thing to train and consider. There's braced positions where I'm going to, brace the rifle on something, or I'll prone out and shoot or whatever. Like again, like you don't do that shit typically with a handgun. It's like this training is simple. It's like standing, holding it. It's like doing the thing. Like there's less. It's more difficult, but it's simpler. If that makes sense.
I kind of get it. Jay Waffles says skill ceiling versus skill cap when it comes
Sure.
to rifles and pistols. Yeah. No, I kind of get what you're saying there for that for sure. Let's talk about books. You've written about 10 books, if I'm not mistaken, on
Yeah.
different sort of practice type things. So
Mhm.
books to me, at least on paper, no pun intended, don't seem like a great medium for transferring like applicable skills when it comes to shooting. So I'm curious. I haven't read your books. I should probably pick some up.
They're not books to read. I mean, they're just training manuals with drills and
Well,
shit like
that's
that,
what I
man.
was going to get into. So you have basically like the high level theory stuff like that is like a small section of the books, and then it's after that it's all application, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Yeah. So do you feel like that's a good way to, if somebody doesn't know a lot about shooting and wants to get into it, do you think that's a great way to start, is to have that sort of resource to fall back on?
Um, yeah, I mean, that's what I like. I mean, I like that stuff and have liked it. I tend to consume that sort of stuff. Now, nobody just gets a book in isolation. Like they're
Mhm.
watching the YouTube and they're like, "Oh, I'll get the thing." Or they're watching other stuff and they start this training journey and then they're like people are like, "Oh, get this, get practical shooting training, get that manual if that's what you need." And then they get it. So the book is not books are not at all a standalone thing, but for a lot of people, they're a very useful sort of benchmark or like guidepost for them.
When you were getting out, when you were getting into it, sorry, did you read books? Were there like really good books 20 years ago or so when you were
Yeah,
trying to
of
find?
course. So when I started training with a handgun. I don't know. I was like 18 when I was like, wow, I was like, I want to start training with this. And so I'm like reading magazine articles, like the Masa Yoop type shit. This
Okay.
is all we had, and it'll be like, oh, this is the course of fire that we shot at this match at this thing, and I'm like, okay, cool. So I read that, I get a little bit of information, set it up, and try the thing. I remember I couldn't shoot a pistol straight when I got one. I bought a book called like How to Be a Master Handgunner, written by some guy I can't remember, and I learned from that like, oh, I have to press the trigger straight in order to make the bullet go straight. Like there was not. This was pre YouTube. There was nothing.
Right.
So it was like this was all I had. And then I quickly consumed any like training manual that I could find on the subject. So it's like I learned that way. I mean, a lot of people don't. Most people just go to YouTube. I
Right.
mean, my books still sell, like they're still selling. So it's like, okay. I mean, I assume people like it, but I'm cool with people buying it and not reading it.
Well, right. Who cares at that point, right? But I mean, no, I guess that is good to actually have that sort of written information, especially like you said. Nowadays, you can find anything super easy,
Right.
right?
And it's mostly it's like I like it in print. Like I like
Mhm.
that because it's this thing I like I set it somewhere. It's like I pick it up, I look at it, I can write on it, fuck around with it. And having it be tangible makes it way more interesting to me.
Yeah, physical media, right?
Yes.
Especially in nowadays digital age where you don't really own anything, even if you have a license for something,
No.
it can be taken away at almost any point in
Right.
time.
And then yes, or they could go back and edit a movie that you purchased and they
100%.
oh they did a racism in that movie. That's bad. We got to edit that. Blah blah. But they don't tell you. They'll just or like I watched Old School on a movie on a plane a few years ago, and I was like, one of the best lines in the movie was just like, yeah, you're in the back seat. Quit being a faggot. Like that's a great line, but they edited that out on Delta. That made me sad.
Really?
Digital book burning, man. It sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. It's what they want. It's what they're pushing for sure. So, yeah, physical media is the way to go. Books and stuff like that can't be edited because even if you buy a new book, right, they can go and revise it and do all sorts of stuff to it. So sometimes you have to go even further back and buy like old
Yes.
prints from like the 60s and 70s
Yes.
because you can even see like where they change definitions in like
Yes.
dictionaries and stuff like that. So you
Oh
got to go
man.
even further back, and you're like, all right. And then
When you
it's actually
say
funny because you
when
can
you say
track.
they, it sounds like a conspiracy theory. That's what I'm getting. My
I'm,
dick's getting
I'm
hard.
just
I'm into
saying.
it.
I'm just saying.
If
It
you're not a
seems
conspiracy theorist, you're not paying attention at this point.
right. Well, it's like, what do you call conspiracy theorists in 6 months? Correct. All right, we got some audience questions to get to, so let's go ahead and get to these real fast. All right, Randy reviews it. Sorry, for $4.99. Says, "Yo, Ben, I am in Eau Claire for deer hunting. Where are you at?"
I am in Texas. I am not in Eau Claire.
Well, good luck with your deer hunt, sir. Hope it goes well. John Davis with 5 says, "Ben, tell Matt to come back. Rage quitting is not the answer. His drills and opinions are valuable, regardless of the autistic hive mind."
I'm not certain. Like people are saying Matt Rage quit the internet. I'm not certain that's what happened. I have not discussed it with him directly, but I'm not sure it was Matt's choice to not be on the internet anymore. I'm not sure I don't know what happened. I have
Hmm.
not. I'm Matt's fucking friend. So the last thing I'm going to do is like be one of the 250 text messages I'm sure he got about that. I'm not going to be one of those guys, but I'll discuss it with him. I'm not sure we know the story there. I don't know that he rage quit anything. I don't know
So,
that happened.
for those of you just watching, Matt Franco was on the show about a week ago. It got a little wild. He left, and then things kind of blew up after that. And then just a couple days ago, he took down his Instagram and website. Theoretically, people are saying that he rage quit, got mad, whatever. Again, that's not necessarily the case. And I still hope, because he did agree to come back on the show. So me and Matt Franco should hopefully have a one-on-one at some point in the future when he becomes. So
Take it like X-Ray Alpha is down.
X-Ray Alpha, the website and Instagram account are down.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I'm not sure that that's what people think it is. But
Right.
I can't say anymore because like, but whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm
He
not
told
sure
me
that was his choice.
couple weeks, so
Yeah.
he might be unavailable for a little while. Barrel of Mercy for $5 says, this is the Garanthem reference. It's show me your USPSA pedigree. I really want to see it.
Okay.
You know, that stream was original. It was originally, well, that was Garanthem when those voice messages got leaked and it was talking about that girl's ass or something. And so that was what that stream was originally supposed to be about, but we never even talked about it.
No, I mean, we didn't. And you know what? I don't know. Like, I don't like. I'm not involved in whatever. Like, I'm not a Garanthem viewer. Like the guy, like to me personally, he has hooked me up personally. Like he has been very nice to me. I can't say that he's ever done
you had an
me
issue
dirty.
on YouTube that he helped you out with, right?
Yeah, and I mean, okay, but I understand that he was Mr. Family Values on YouTube, and you like that
Correct.
pisses people off when you're not Mr. Family Values. If anybody's curious, I'm absolutely a degenerate. For real. So like I'm not pretending.
That's why we don't make fun of you for it, right?
What's that?
That's why we don't make fun of you for it. But if you were preaching family
How are you
values,
gonna make fun of me? Like, Ben, you have sex with too many women, sir. I'll be like, that's a weird angle of attack, my dude, but have at
for
it.
you, you're like, yeah, cool, bro. You're right.
Cool story.
Anyways, moving on. Chromosome Hoarder 69, sounds like it, says Ben Stoeger is so kissable. Yes, he has
a lot of people say so.
It's the hair. Sergeant Storms for $5 says, Ben, with a 365 Raider letting Ben Griffith hit the top of the charts in USPSA, I think you mean SA, do you think the Raiders 365/320 will become the new meta? I'm not familiar with this. Are they letting people shoot Raiders in USPSA?
No, it's a big fight. Like he did a thing that they didn't want. They didn't want like this DNROI guy. This is another big issue where it's like specifically it's allowed in the rules to convert a pistol into a PCC, and that's what Ben did. But they don't like it, or like the DNROI guy, he doesn't like it, so he says you can't do that, and that turned into a big fight. Top of the charts as far as the classification thing, to be honest, nobody gives a fuck about that. That doesn't mean much. Like doing like Ben Griffith doing well at big matches would get some people's attention, but I think there's like so much inertia behind like the JP5 setup or the mean arms upper that's coming, that kind of stuff. Like the top guys are shooting that, and I just think there's so much inertia behind that it's unlikely that such a departure from that would take over as the new meta. Not saying it's impossible, but I'd be surprised to see that.
So when you say top of the charts, what do you mean by that?
So there's a classification system where there's some charts there that shows who has like the highest classification scores, but you aren't awarded trophies based on that. Like that's like a kind of a side thing. Like people like that's not being top of the classification chart. It's not winning anything. It's not winning a match.
Number to brag about, basically. Is that what I'm getting at?
I've never heard anyone brag about it that I respect. Like honestly, like it's like a statistical thing over here that like you'll hit the right classifiers and for a moment in time, like you'll be right there at that one. It's like, I don't think people really care about it.
Right. Cause it's not like a real, like you didn't actually win a match or
you did not win anything.
Gotcha. It's just a number. Interesting. So when they're competing with those, they're competing against other guys with like dedicated PCCs and beating them, or at least I could say getting
it's a classification. It's the classification stages, which is not a whole match. And it's like, and again, that's one guy doing it. Like, I don't know if other guys are going to do that. Maybe.
Because I mean, it doesn't seem like a flex would be a great idea for that anyways, when you have dedicated systems. So well, at least for me, I wouldn't take one.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't sound awesome to me.
Yeah. Nick for $10 says, I really want to thank Ben. He's really keyed me into the visual aspects of shooting, and it has made a big difference in my capabilities. Will Ben ever do an open enrollment class in Michigan?
I did 2 this year, my man.
Oh, there you go. And no plans for any next year so far, I'd imagine?
I had just like the guys that organized me this year wanted to organize me next year. I can't take any more stuff in my schedule next year. Like I can't. I have too much. Like, I mean, I don't have a free fucking weekend. I don't like for next year, dude. Like
Well,
my lifestyle's like I not to bitch, but my lifestyle is fucked right now. It is fucked. I'm having a lot of fun in a lot of respects. Um, Making money, like doing the teach. Like I'm doing what I like doing, but it's like there's not a lot of room for. I can't do it more. I say no. Like people email, I was like, I have to say no to stuff. I can't do all the stuff. That sucks. Whatever, man. It's I guess the way it is right now.
well, I mean, I think every time I've talked to you, you've been in a different state.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
so. Busy man.
so my house in Arizona, I was there for like 6 days, 7 days teaching with Mike Pannone last
Mhm.
week. The last time I was in my house was in August.
Jeez, man.
Yes,
Well, at least you know what you're doing for the next year, I guess.
I do.
Some people, yeah, some people take it day by day. M26 Lemon Grenade for $5 says, "What is your least favorite platform and why?"
Let's say that's an interesting question. What's the least favorite platform? Hmm. Hmm. I don't know. That I mean, I don't know. Least favorite, like least favorite popular one. I don't know.
Well, how
That's
was
hard to answer.
so with the staccatos? Did you have the same issue other people are having, where you had to like clean and lube like every couple hundred rounds to maintain reliability?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
Interesting.
No. So my staccato P has never like it's never had a feed jam or anything. The slide stop had to get changed because they sent it out to with a bad slide stop. Like my XC, like I did a duty gun or like a duty ammo test. Like I cleaned it and lubed it, and then I fired 2,000 rounds of duty ammo through it without relubing, and it was fine.
Oh, amazing.
Like just like I don't have to lube them. Like they don't have to be that like the Scotto P's don't have to be that wet. The XC likes to be a little more wet. Like I don't have all these issues that people have. Like I
Mhm.
just don't. Like I haven't had that problem.
It
And I
is what
haven't
it
seen
is.
that. Yeah, I mean, there's other guns like the Prodigy is a good example where it's like you can reciprocate the slide. You're like, no, this isn't going to run. It's not wet enough. You know, it's like it won't work. That happened in class. What yesterday? There was a guy with I think a Prodigy 2011. I just like played with his gun wasn't running. It wasn't going into battery. I'm like, they play with him like this needs loop. This will not fucking work the way it is. It won't. But the staccatos I think are far better in terms of reliability than that.
Well, I would hope so. Is the Prodigy like okay? So what's the here's kind of a reframe of the question. What's the gun you see go down the most in classes?
Oh, it's here. These people aren't going to like this. It's not the gun. It's the user. And that I hate to say it, it's true. Like you'll see guys, you can think whatever you want about about a gun or a platform. You can believe whatever you want. If you go to matches, like you will see guys that take a gun and it runs like a top. Like whatever they did, whatever they're doing, that gun runs. And then like the flip side is also true. You'll see guys, it's like I don't care what they buy, it never works. Never. Like
Mm,
they could buy it, like they'll buy Glock, they'll find a way to fuck that up. It won't
right.
work.
That's what I did.
Right. It's just, I mean, that's what I've experienced. It's not really the gun, it's the guy using it. And like people do people things and they find a way to make that shit not work.
Yeah.
Especially
No.
competition shooters. They fuck with everything.
Mhm. Well, yeah, I've seen people do that with like incredibly expensive rifles. They'll brag about never cleaning it or lubricating it, and then 3,000 rounds later, you know, they're like tap rack banging every round, and they're like, "Oh, it just needs some lube or something." It's like, well, no, you caused it to do that, right? By just not maintaining the thing. So that is an important lesson to learn. It's you, it's not the gun. All right, terribly tactical for $2 says, "I appreciate Ben's channel. Hashtag no cigas allowed."
Oh man, I'm thinking I'm gonna get a I've got my eyes on the TTI Canic, the Terran Tactical Canic for the next gun. And I think I'll get a P10 right alongside of it. That's what I'm starting to think. I
I
don't
was
have
looking.
much time to shoot them, but I want to get them.
Yeah, I was looking at the Terran TTI because I next year I also was like, okay, I haven't shot a competition in like 5 years, so I should probably like try and do that. There's a couple of good local groups near me, so I was like, I should get like a dedicated gun for it and then just do it. And the Terran was one of the ones I was looking at because I do like Canics. I think they shoot nice. Kind of a meme gun, but they shoot nice. Jonathan Velez for $5 says, what is a good recommendation for someone 5'3", 140 pounds to increase grip strength for Glock 19/49?
I think that, I mean, to be honest, I think that's a fool's errand. I think you should learn to use the grip strength that you have. Like, I think increasing your grip strength for shooting is kind of weird. Like, you probably have enough grip strength. You just have to deploy it properly. Like, actually make sure your support hand connects to the gun. Probably like loosen up your firing hand a little bit. Like, people that ask these kind of questions, usually that's the issue. Like, I don't really subscribe to the captains of crush gripper things, or like, oh, I need to train grip strength. Like, if you're an adult male with average grip strength, you are strong enough to shoot the gun effectively. That's not really going to be the issue.
Well, I mean, when you watch like 12 and 13-year-olds shoot handguns in competition, and they're doing just fine. Like, I feel like unless you have some sort of physical impairment, you should be able to get it down, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like people are like, oh, I need to physically be stronger to do this. Like, no, you probably are strong enough to do it now.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you, talking about physical fitness, do you have a specific workout program or anything, or is it just kind of like, I just shoot all day, that's what I do?
I mean, I used to, like, if I'm at home, like, my thing in Arizona is I go to the range, I shoot, and then I hike up a mountain there, and then I hike down. I like swimming. Summers in Arizona for swimming. I like biking up north when I'm there. Like, I like that sort of stuff, like being outside. I wouldn't say I have a routine because my travel schedule's so crazy. Like, when I'm traveling with a jump rope, like, I like that too. That's good for, keeping the legs going. No, I wish I had more of a routine, but my life is so fucked. I can't say that I have one.
Right. I mean, you'd have to take like a mobile gym with you everywhere you go if you wanted to.
It's like not practical at this point, my man.
No. Well, hey, it's good to do something. And hey, I really appreciate your time. That was just about everything that we have for tonight. You gave me an hour out of your incredibly busy.
It's not as memeable as Drunk Matt, but I wish it was.
No, I mean, it's a good conversation and it's a good time, and people like to hear from the best, talk about training and all sorts of other stuff. Ooh, one question before we go. So you have a bunch of new guns on order.
Yeah.
Are you going to share what they are out of curiosity?
I will eventually, but not yet.
Okay, perfect.
I'm fucking with the internet a little bit. Oh,
did you order any meme guns? Like a High Point is in there.
Well, let me put it this way. One of them was so good. It's so good that people won't know if it's a meme or not. It's so good. It's perfect.
Well, we will all be looking forward to it, sir. And Tyler K says, thanks, Stegosaurus.
Well, thank you, guys. It's been great.
Absolutely. Oh, before we go, where can people find you?
You can find me, bensteger.com. I'm at Ben Steger at Instagram. They know my YouTube channel, Ben Steger. I've not been super active lately. And unfortunately, I have to go back to Iraq in a few days, so I won't be super active. Maybe I'll post a video from there. The guy's there, like, you got to post videos from Iraq. I'm like, cool, I'll just post a video, whatever.
Yeah, blow up another car while you're there. Might as well.
No, I think we're going to do aerial hog hunting. We'll get up in a helicopter and fucking smash some pigs.
That's cool. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, dude, we like doing fun shit.
That 240 you were shooting the other day or whatever that was?
No, I mean, I don't think you understand, like, how cool the guys I roll with there are, where it's just like, if I say, like, I want to take the 240 up in the helicopter, they'll probably say, okay. If it's feasible, we'll do it.
Yeah. I mean, hey, good friends to have. Sounds like a good time.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Peace
out, haters.
He's back again. He's back again. The Stoeger is back, ready to wreck. USPSA Grandmaster, he's gonna attack. Real sick as snow as the trophy case grows. Ain't no chance to slow once he gets into his flow attack mode. It's time to go. So sit back and enjoy the show. Here we go now. The former, the future, the champion. What's his name? That's right. Ben. He's back again. Ben. He's back again. The gold lock, smash the gold clock, smash the gold locked in the trophy case. In case you're wondering what the future would bring, once the bell rings, you won't be missing a thing. More trophies to collect, more records to wreck. So sit back and listen to the Stoeger effect. future, the champion, what's his name? That's right. Ben, 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 Ben. He's back again. Ben, 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 Ben. He's back again. The gold lock, smash the gold gloss, smash the gold locked in the trophy case. In case you're wondering what the future would bring, once the bell rings, you won't be missing a thing. More trophies to collect, more records to wreck, so sit back and listen to the Stoeger effect. The former, the future, the champion, what's his name? That's right. Ben, 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 Ben. He's back again.